The events of last week have clearly proven that the problem of Nigeria does not lie with the presidency, but with the guys in the National Assembly who will continue to churn out all manner of bills that does not address the immediate concerns of Nigerians. Last week, we saw several constitutional alteration bills passed for second reading, one of which was the establishment of office of the Prime Minister. And I, I read in the news actually that the purpose why we are returning to the parliamentary system of governance is the fact that the presidential system has failed. You can imagine that in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, who is supposedly a dictator, is even doing much more in terms of development of the country. This guy seems to lack every idea on what is needed to move this nation forward. As a matter of fact, the National Assembly remains the most powerful institution in a democratic system. And maybe these guys don't understand this. Probably they fail to see that that through the National Assembly, they can even implement policies that can move this nation forward. Whether economic policy, whether security policy, whether agricultural policy, policies on health, there is no important policy that would be implemented that will not go through the National Assembly. As a matter of fact, lawmakers can come up with important bills, that will address fundamental issues facing our nation. But what we have today is, frivolous bills that actually would not make any meaningful impact to ordinary Nigerians. At the end of the day, it is not a question of the system of governance to be practiced or to be adopted, but actually the genuineness of those in authority to even implement the simplest policies that will address the needs of Nigerians. It is so bad that at this point, when there is hike in the cost of goods and services, when there is the rate of unemployment is increasing on daily basis, that Nigerians cannot even afford 3 square meals, and all these lawmakers could put together is a bill to return Nigeria to a parliamentary system of governance. On the other hand, we saw the bill to establish state and local government police. As a matter of fact, I've been a forefront advocate against the establishment of state and local government police in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the establishment of state and local government police does not in any way address our security concerns. And if the reason for so establishing the state and local government police is the fact that maybe we are not having enough manpower in terms of the ratio between the police and the number of citizens, then the right thing to be done should be the federal government recruiting even more federal forces, in terms of police officers, and designate to various parts of the country. At the time I actually contested for governorship in Delta State, I did say I would actually lobby for a law to be passed granting state governors the power to monitor the activities of police officers serving in their respective states. This means that as a governor, you'll be given the powers or the right to actually establish a data center where a police officer who is serving in the state, once posted, reports to that data center. You collect their data, for the purposes of rewarding and monitoring their activities in the state. So it is possible that maybe after collecting their data, you can arm them with a body camera to monitor the activities around the state, because I also believe that the unethical conduct of police officers, constitutes a security threat in itself. So having collected their data, you can monitor their activities, and when you see that they've actually discharged their duties according to the ethics of their profession, you can equally reward them. So I think that would have been the best practice, instead of establishing state police, especially in situation that if state governors are still grappling with payment of salaries and wages at the end of the month. So adding the burden of policing or taking care of the welfare of police officers becomes a cumbersome. And the major problem of insecurity in Nigeria is not even the shortage of manpower in terms of policing. The major problem has been the proliferation of arms, which, even without addressing this issue, there is little we can do in terms of fighting crime, especially when we have criminals who wear sophisticated weapons. So it doesn't matter how many police officers you have, in every nook and cranny of the country, especially if you cannot reduce the rate of illegal arms in the hands of those who should never pick up arms in the first instance. So we must rethink these policies. Nigerians must also be at the forefront to resist policies that are not meant to move this nation forward, policies that are not meant to address our immediate concern. It is not just enough to establish policies like the state police without weighing the pros and cons, understanding the character and nature of the governors in Nigeria. Imagine the scenario that it is alleged that a governor burned down the state assembly in Rivers State. What happens if he has the control over a particular police force? So all of these things we need to bring into perspective when passing laws, when making laws, especially fundamental laws such as this. Nigerians must begin to speak up and resist policies that will not address our needs. I am Francis Onyema, 2027 presidential aspirant, and I thank you for stopping by.